Esther McVey's here. Esther, very good morning to you.
Morning, good to be back with you, Mike.
Good to see you. I'm sorry to start off on a sort of an unhappy note, but Carl speaks for a lot of people in this country. You know, we get them more and more on this show. People who say, look, I've worked all my life, I've done everything right, I've never asked for a penny in return, I've never claimed a benefit, but now I'm getting to the point where I'm thinking, what's the point? Why don't I just do what everybody else does and claim and get something for nothing?
Yeah, well, he's saying what other people are thinking. My concern, and the reality is, society only works when those who are working hard, trying hard, providing for themselves and their family see the rewards of their hard work, and those who aren't realise that that is the only path to take. You get into work, you pay into the system if you're going to take out of it, unless you are seriously disabled or unwell, and then society looks after you. Should the tipping point come, and those who are the hard workers paying in feel they are hard done by, society will crumble. So this Labour government, and I have to say, what is the point of Labour? What was the point in them winning a general election when they haven't a tickety-boo, they haven't a clue what they are doing, and they are not standing by the hard-working, good people, law-abiding people of this country.
Yeah, well, it's worse than that, because every time you turn around, whenever anything's going wrong and they get asked about it, they blame the Tories and say it's all your fault. Have a look at what Baroness Jackie Smith had to say yesterday.
This is a problem that has, up to this point, we haven't managed to tackle in terms of the numbers who are coming here. But it is a completely legitimate claim to say that that's because what is happening is the result of the last government that chose to focus on gimmicks through the Rwanda scheme that returned 4 volunteers. And
but it hadn't started. The Rwanda scheme hadn't started, but
it had, and it returned 4 people, and it cost £750 million. And what the last government hadn't done was to take the sort of powers that we've taken to get to the criminals who are responsible for this. You're right, internationally, which is why, as well, we've been willing to work with the French, with the Germans in a way that the last government wasn't willing or wasn't able to.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't have a good word to say about the Tories. I don't suppose you would if you were her, but I mean, she was a pretty hopeless Home Secretary, I seem to remember, back in the day.
Well, all I would say is what a completely pathetic, spineless answer. And I notice this in life. When you've failed and the smash the gangs has failed, their one in, one out doesn't make sense. Their millions and millions, 700 million plus to France is not working, right? So what you do is you blame people who were in government, over a year ago. Now, their biggest mistake ever, which we've discussed before, is on day one, getting rid of the Rwanda plan. It was a plan. It was starting to work. It would have been deterrent. The National Crime Agency said it was a deterrent, but they got rid of that on day one without knowing what they would do. I'm afraid this government is spineless. It hasn't got what it takes to either come up with the solutions, take the hard work and the tough decisions to make these deterrents happen. I'm afraid, I think they need to go. This Labour government needs to go.
They really do. And we just reported on the fact that they've become even more unpopular, even just in the last few days. 68% of people in this country disapprove of what they're doing. Incredibly, 13% of people actually like what they're doing. I don't know who they are. Previously, some local asylum they found them in. But how about this, right? In the midst of all of the migrant nonsense, in the midst of the terrible stories about the numbers of people on universal credit, Keir Starmer's put out his first tweet of the day. We always keep an eye out for it around about 8 o'clock in the morning. He says no one should feel unsafe leaving their homes. From today, every neighbourhood across England and Wales has named contactable officers to tackle crime in our communities. Our plan for change in action. He probably should have said police officers, because it's not very clear what he means by that. But basically they're saying that they're ramping up the numbers of police in the communities of this country. Is that going to make any difference, do you think?
Well, look, I don't believe him. He's talking a load of rubbish. And we all know when the police are out there now, it's only to stop law-abiding citizens either coming to the streets to tell them what they think of that government, or whether it's parents on a WhatsApp group saying they don't like the appointment of a new teacher, the police will be round. Listen, I wrote a story in yesterday's Express, and I said this is like Sir Carry On, Sir Keir Starmer Carry On. This government now are like the cast from a Carry On film, only these aren't funny. So I said about Keir Starmer, he was Carry On Dick in true Carry On fashion. That's Dick Turpin, robbing us all blind, but being pious as thou. I said Rachel Reeves is Josh Fiddler from Carry On Camping, promising paradise, but looking for even more treacherous ways to take your money off you. And you've got Angela Rayner there, like Bernard Bresslaw, everyone out. Or should we call her Sir Sidney Rough Diamond? I mean, this cabinet are a joke, and they don't know what they're doing. He said he'd clean up politics. I'm afraid all these ministers know is how to clean up in politics, getting their free accommodation, getting their free suits and getting their free glasses.
This is the problem, isn't it? And we've also now got a government which is literally a government of lies. They tell lies every day. They speak untruths which they know to be untrue, and yet nobody really holds them to account. And particularly at the moment, for example, with the Chagos Islands deal that we found out about this week and being grossly, underestimated by Keir Starmer, isn't it time that we had more possibilities of questioning the government in Parliament during the summer months? Because at the moment it feels as though it's a sort of rudderless kingdom. There's nobody really running the country, and there's nobody holding those people to account.
Mike, you hit the nail on the head. We, as in all MPs, need to be called back to Parliament immediately. This is a state of emergency when you see the numbers of people coming through. No, but what Keir Starmer would rather do is we're not there, so he can bring through ever more preposterous plans, like his new one in, one out policy, because he declared it was a new policy. We should have been voting on that. Now, no doubt Labour would have won because they've got a huge majority, but it should have been scrutinised. Nobody knows the cost, how it's going to work, the numbers in and out. No, this is a disgrace, and I'm afraid this is what Keir Starmer wants. He wants, like a dictator, only him in charge. He's pushing all this nonsense through onto the country while politicians aren't there. The best thing we could all do, which I've called for, and really maybe you, the home of common sense, needs to be calling for it as well, is get MPs back to Parliament. It's a state of emergency, and we need to be voting on all this rubbish this Labour government's bringing through.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we said that as well. What do you make of a story in the Telegraph today, which is a slightly more social one, I suppose, more than it is about the police? But it's a police commissioner for Thames Valley, police and crime commissioner for Thames Valley, of Tory, actually, called Matthew Barber, who basically says that the public has a duty to stand up to shoplifters rather than relying solely on police officers. This comes a day after Keir Starmer's spokesman said that he would not regard or speak about shoplifters as scumbags.
Look, first of all, you need the police, the security on the door of shops to stand up to them. I think that's a strange thing to say, because what we don't want is to put the public in harm's way. But if he's saying the greater society needs to look upon this as a crime because it is theft, well, we're doing that anyway. People are calling into your show every day saying what a disgrace it is. That sign there from a shop owner saying scumbags, that's what he called thieves, I'll call them thieves, shoplifting from his shop. And what happened? The police came round and said, you've insulted somebody by using the word scumbag. The great thing I saw is when he was interviewed, he said, no, that word is completely accurate. Absolutely, it's accurate. But I'm afraid we need the police going in there. We need more CCTV, facial recognition, and these people being stopped. Look at them. Absolutely. The shameless, the brazen, the emboldened. My concern, Mike, and I'll be honest with you, when it gets so bad, and in some of these shops it is so bad, so they'll either close and they won't be there on the high street anymore. When it gets that bad, who are we going to call in? Are we saying we're going to call our own military in to sort this out? It is so bad, because we need a short, sharp shock to everybody to say this is unacceptable. And that's Alexander 420, the TikTok asylum seeker. He's sort of saying this is a world where you can steal and take and do whatever you want. No, it is not. The message needs to go out. This is unacceptable. Do not come here. And as I said, the Labour government need to get that Rwanda scheme back up and do everything it can to stop it. And most of all, the polls of this country. He's bragging he's in a 4-star hotel. There should be no 4-star hotels. No. They should be, you know, in a campsite, do what they do in France, but not have them in luxury accommodation. The polls are what's bringing people over here as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous what's going on. Great to speak to you, Esther McVey. Thank you very much indeed. Former Minister for Common Sense, Tory MP, of course, as well.